Hello everyone. In this video lecture, we will discuss what is SLA. The letters SLA stand for Second Language Acquisition. Second language acquisition is taught one of the major courses at BS level as well as at MS and MPhil level. Furthermore, a lot of students are busy and they are conducting the research in second language acquisition. So this will be our introductory lecture in second language acquisition, and I need your feedback and your comment. You tell me that should I upload more videos in second language acquisition or not. So it is your interest that will motivate me, and I'll upload more videos in the subject second language acquisition. Let's begin our today's lecture. What is SLA? Second language acquisition refers both to the study of individuals and groups who are learning a language subsequent to learning their first one as young children and to the process of learning that language. So this definition has two parts. Part first says that second language acquisition refers to the study of individuals or a group. So you are studying an individual or a group who are learning a language, and that language is their subsequent language to their first language. It means that this group or these individuals have already acquired a language, and that language is their first language, and now they are learning another language, and this another language is for them a second language. And part second say that the process of learning that language, you are also studying that how or what is the process through which they acquire the second language. So everybody has acquired their first language in their young age, when you are a teenage, right? Or when you are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. So you have already acquired one language, and that is your first language. Now you are learning another language, so that will be your second language. So when you are studying a group or an individual who are learning another language, right, which is their second language, and then you are also studying the process, the procedure through which they are acquiring a second language. So you are conducting what? You are conducting a study that refers to second language acquisition, right? Now further discussion, what is SLA? The additional language is called a second language. So this is also an additional language because you have in hand one language. Now you are learning another language. So this another language is also called an additional language, your L2. Even though it may be actually be the third, fourth or 10th to be acquired, right? It may be the third language, it may be the fourth language, it may be the 10th language. Doesn't matter, right? Whatever the sequence is, but it is your second language, right? So it is also commonly called a target language, TL. The second language is also called a target language, which refer to any language that is the aim or goal of learning. So you see that we have different names, we have different terms, right? One term we have second language, second we have additional language, third we have target language. So these all are names for the same thing, and that is the language you acquire after your first language, right? As I told you that it may be your third, it may be your fourth, it may be your 10th in sequence. But we are not talking about sequence. We are referring to these all, your third language, your fourth language, your 10th language. These will be considered your second language. Fine? Because all of these languages you are acquiring after your first language. So how many, if you are acquiring 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 languages after your first language, all of them will be considered your second languages. Fine? Now, second language acquisition, that is the common term used for the name of the discipline. It is one of the disciplines, second language acquisition, and it is taught at university level. So in general, SLA refers to the process of learning another language after the native language has been learned. So for example, I live in Pakistan and I'm Pathan. So Pashto, that is my native language. That is my mother tongue. And I have acquired Pashto first. And whatever language I learn after the Pashto, that will be my second language. Or that would be my additional language. Or that would be my target language. Right? Now, sometimes the term refers to the learning of a third or fourth language. Second language may refers to the learning of a third, fourth, 10, or even 15 or 20th language. Now, the important aspect is that SLA refers to the learning of a non-native language after the learning of the native language. That's a brief definition, that SLA refers to the learning of a non-native language. If I'm learning English language, that is a non-native. And that non-native language is learned after the learning of a native language, of my Pashto language, of my Punjabi language, right? You may have a language, okay, that is Punjabi, you acquire first. And after the Punjabi language, you are learning English. So that would be your second language. So English for you, that is non-native. Similarly, there for English people, Pashto would be a non-native language. And English, that is a native. If they are acquiring Pashto language, so Pashto would be a non-native language that would be learned after a native language, English. And if I am learning an English language, which is a non-native language for me, so that non-native language would be learned after a native language for me, and that is Pashto language, right? Now, the second language is commonly referred to as L2. Usually we call it L2, as with the phrase second language. So L2 can refer to any language learned after learning the L1. So these are another names. Sometimes we use L2 for second language and L1 for the first language. So L2 is learned or it is acquired after your L1. We will also differentiate what is the difference between acquisition and learning in the next lecture. So regardless of whether it is the second, third, fourth or fifth language, right? So you are learning L2, right? It may be your third language, it may be your fourth language, it may be your sixth language. But these all are considered as L2 and you are learning that L2 after your L1. So by this term, we mean both the acquisition of a second language in a classroom situation as well as in more natural exposure situation. We will discuss this point on coming slide. The scope of SLA. What is the scope of SLA? The scope of SLA includes informal L2. Now, what is informal L2? We will discuss it now. Informal L2 learning that takes place in a naturalistic context. Formal L2 learning that takes place in classroom. And L2 learning that involves a mixture of these settings and circumstances. Now, what is informal L2 learning? We are discussing the scope of second language acquisition. And in the scope of second language acquisition, first we are talking about informal L2 learning. For example, right, there is a child and who is born in Pakistan. And that child is taken to UK or USA, right? And then in USA or UK, that child learns English. So this would be considered as informal L2 learning because you will have a situation. You will have like a naturalistic context, right? There'll be people right around you, you will interact them, or perhaps you see that you go to the country for some job purpose, right? Or for some business purpose, and you have a co-worker there. You communicate all the day with them. So you are learning L2 in a naturalistic context. So this would be considered as informal L2 learning. I hope you got it, that what is informal L2 learning. Now, the second we have, that is formal L2 learning. Now, what is a formal L2 learning? Now, for example, I'm in Pakistan, and because in Pakistan we speak here Urdu as our national language, and my native language, that is Pashto, mother tongue, that is Pashto. So if I learn English, which is not my native language, which is non-native language for me, and if I learn English in a classroom setting, so that would be a formal L2 learning, because outside of the class, okay, I won't have naturalistic environment, context, because all people in Pakistan, they do not use or they do not speak English language. So in Pakistan, in the classroom, if I am learning English, so that would be a formal L2 learning. And if a child is taken to USA, right, and there a child learn in a naturalistic environment, so that would be informal L2 learning, right? So they take place in the classroom. And L2 learning that involves a mixture of the setting and circumstances. What would be the third example of this? For example, if I go to USA or if I go to UK, and there in UK, in the classroom, I take classes for learning English language. And outside of the class, I have also a naturalistic environment or context. So then that would be the mixture of these two, of formal and informal. So in the classroom, I will have a formal setting, and outside of the classroom, I would have informal, because English is spoken throughout in USA and UK. So all people speak their English. So on the one hand, I am learning a language in the classroom, right, in UK. And outside of the classroom, I will have environment. So that would be the mixture of formal and informal. And if I am learning English in Pakistan in the classroom, and as I get out from the classroom, so I won't find a natural context, because people in Pakistan do not speak everywhere English language. So then that would be a formal learning of L2. And if I go to America or UK for some job purpose, for some business purpose, and I stay there, and all the time, everyday situations, I speak people, right? I interact them in English. So then that would be informal. So on the one hand, we have informal, on the other hand, we have formal, and then we have the mixture or the combination of this formal and informal. I hope you got it. If you have any question, you can ask your question in comment section. Foreign language learning. Foreign language learning is generally differentiated from second language acquisitions in that the former refer to the learning of a non-native language, right? We're talking about foreign language learning, right? That it refers to the learning of a non-native language in environment of one's native language. So I won't have environment. So I will learn this foreign language in a non-native environment. E.g., for example, French speaker learning English in France. You are learning French. A French speaker learning English in France. So in France, you won't have environment, okay, of English, and you are learning English in France. Or Spanish speakers learning French in Spain. Who? Spanish people. So you won't have environment there. Argentina or Mexico, so this is most commonly done within the context of a classroom. Remember that foreign language is most often done within the context of classroom. And outside of the classroom, you won't have environment for that language. For example, in Pakistan, if I am learning a Chinese language, right, so that would be a non-native context, because outside of the class I won't have context. Okay, because nobody in Pakistan speaks Chinese language or French or Arabic language. Second language acquisitions, on the other hand, generally refers to the learning of a non-native language in the environment in which that language is spoken. That's very interesting. For example, German speakers learning Japanese in Japan, or Punjabi speaker learning English in the United Kingdom. So you are learning a language, right, in a context, because people, they speak that language there. If you go to Japan and you want to learn Japanese, so all the people in Japan, they speak Japanese language. So you are learning in context, because in your surrounding people, they speak that language. So the important point is that learning in a second language environment takes place with considerable access to speakers of the language being learned. So in second language, you can learn if you have considerable access to the learners, whereas learning in a foreign language environment usually does not. So we can conclude that to learn a second language, there would be a wide range of speakers who will speak that language. And to learn a foreign language, there will be limited number of speakers, and that foreign language would be learned within the limitations or premises of classroom. Outside of a classroom, that language is not spoken. We will have also discussion that how can we differentiate second language from a foreign language in coming lectures. Please provide your feedback and valuable comment in comment section. Thank you so much.